Alrighty, welcome back to Indiana Jones. I have to note something. So I'm playing on primary monitor. It's actually an LG TV, and on a second monitor mounted up, I have the stream, and I can just see the normal SDR stream that you can see, where everything is kind of grayish. And on my main monitor, I have proper HDR. I mean, it's actually, I think it's auto HDR, but it kind of looks properly, anyway. And the difference in color and in hue and depth is hilariously massive. My goodness. It's a shame. I would love to stream this in proper HDR, but I can't. It's sadly impossible to stream on Twitch in HDR and surround sound. YouTube does support this, but right now I'm dual streaming to YouTube and Twitch. But Amazon with Twitch does not allow me to stream in HDR. They're also only allowing an ancient codec, so it is inefficient, quite taxing on my hardware and on my internet connection with upload. YouTube is more modern. It's still not really modern, but at least a little bit more than Twitch. Anyway, welcome back to... We've seen this before. So, quick recap. What happened? We were in the jungle, classic Indiana Jones style. We had two companions. One tried to kill us earlier. We, with a whip, defeated him. And then we got into the maze. We got the reward. There was a chasm. Our second companion was like, throw over the object. We did it, of course, and then he went away. We had to save ourselves. You probably know that story. It was in a movie of Indiana Jones. And then we woke up as an old professor here at night, passed out with a colleague, another fellow professor, and then strange noises, strange cat chants, strange... everything is messy. And Professor Jones right now apparently believes this to be a student, hence the comment with the someone's getting expelled tonight. But nobody's getting expelled tonight, because I'm pretty sure those are Nazis. But we shall see. Hopefully in this game we can punch Nazis. An Indiana Jones game without punching Nazis is not worth to be called Indiana Jones. Yeah, so last time we spent an hour in here talking about the stuff I saw. We're not going to do that again, we already did that. And we also remapped the map from J to M, because it was on J. I don't know why a developer would want to place the map on J. Maybe they're called J? Because it just didn't make any sense. I greatly like the realistic approach to this fight. I mean, he's already perfect. Also, this I like games that allow me to pause a cinematic without ending it. I hate games where I press escape and the cinematic ends. Never do that. So I like the realistic approach they took because first I mean, he's not old, more like in his well, maybe 40s, but let's say he's not in his physical prime anymore, and he was significantly, well, smaller than his opponent. A massive man, and he didn't have any weapons or tools at hand, so it is only realistic that he would lose a fight, and this is what I want to see. I do not want to see hilarious ways for a guy to win a fight that is not realistic. Obviously, Indiana Jones teaches you if there's a swordsman, just shoot him. So this is exactly the kind of logic I want in this game.
I wondered where you'd got to. What happened?
Where did he go?
Who?
The giant.
I didn't see any giant.
I caught someone breaking into the museum. He was tall. He took something.
Well, did you see his face?
Scarred. Dark skin. He spoke some form of Latin.
Latin? Well, that is a novelty.
Come on, Marcus. We need to find out what he took.
Yes, righto. This display case has been ransacked. Is there anything missing?
Let's have a look.
It's kind of odd that he kind of almost incantated towards this here.
Exhibits that were in this display.
Ancient Egyptian, obviously.
Look
A
at
depiction of Bastet.
all over the floor.
Bastet, statue of the ancient Egyptian goddess Bastet as a lioness. And what I don't like, I like the fact that we can look upon it from the front, but I apparently can't move it. I would like to rotate it. I would definitely like that. Please add the ability to rotate items you hold in your hand. Temper your kunai form. Can you name all 30 symbols? Okay. I can't.
No, the display has a Syrian flag. This thing isn't from Syria. No, this isn't right.
That's Turkey, eh? Marshall College Institute. And... what's that? No. Could that work? We have here... probably not. Yeah, the flag is wrong. I wasn't sure what these jewelry items are supposed to tell us. What do we have here? I mean, this is definitely hieroglyph-ish Egyptian section.
Ah, look at this. Ugaritic letters.
Ivory case. Duck-shaped cosmetics case carved in ivory and ornamented with Ugaritic letters, found in Ugarit, Syria in 1931.
Duck one here. Right, Marcus? Funerary mask, Brody.
Funerary gold mask from Homs, Syria. It's remarkably heavy, given how small it is.
Funerary mask goes here. Terracotta. Likely Babylonian out of Iraq. No. I don't think this was a votive offering.
Agreed.
There's the flag.
Ah, well done, Indiana. So, is everything back?
Not quite.
Well, what's missing? SW 003. What was that?
Seaway expedition. He took the cat mummy, Marcus. But why?
The thief may have left a clue to their identity.
Yeah. Let's keep looking.
So, where do I see? There's nothing here indicating what I need to do, right? I mean, the orange is still the outline, it's just of the walls. I like this kind of map. That's great. The quality of the textures, my God.
That is where he got out.
So, for your office, so apparently we need to go to Professor Jones' office, apparently.
Expected when you are down from New York.
Thieves don't usually make appointments.
Not just the break-in. I thought you'd given up on the fertility idol, Indiana.
People died for that thing, Marcus. Can't just let it go.
Alrighty, so obviously I'm going to ignore all of that. We're going to look at the cases here. Africa, continent of culture. Much is made of the influence of Christian and European values in Africa, but the influence that the art... shut up. That the art and cultures of this continent have had on us is also worthy of study. The Moors of Maghreb once ruled much of Western Europe, after all, and their influence can still be seen from Spain to Italy. Even now, the traditional art of the continent has been said to influence contemporary Western artists such as Max Weber or Pablo Picasso. By the way, some people, when they hear Picasso, they're like, oh my goodness, the ancient great lord of art. But no, he lived in the last century. Recent archaeological evidence has suggested that all humanity could have originated from Africa. That's actually not entirely true anymore. Like 2-3 years ago, I read an article. Food for thought. Perhaps for those willing to dismiss the continent's relevance. Obviously, you have to remember that humankind kind of spread from various directions. But definitely a lot of modern humans spread from Africa. Probably not all, but many. 18th century Africa, dombo, musical instrument. What else do we have? 18th century Asanza, musical instrument. I'm going to assume this is like a bass-ish instrument where you have to tap your fingers on it. A bow harp, musical instrument. A balafon, musical instrument. 3 crossbeam cross. And African figures. Those are beautiful. 16th century African wooden masks. Those are beautiful. Nadomi wooden dance shield. You know, that middle portion reminds me of something, but I'm not going to say what. 1640 statue depicting a ruler. Just a ruler. Egypt. You know, I'm again going to say, imagine if every modern big museum in the world would have an app, a game dedicated with this level of quality. Imagine the British Museum. Imagine you could walk around and see the dinosaur in all its splendor with this level of graphics quality. That would be insane. It would, my goodness. I mean, some museums have started using internet technology, but they all looked crappy because they're just not high quality.
I've survived a lot worse.
Temple capital. And fragment of an ancient Egyptian temple wall. Memorial fragment. This fragmentary small memorial stone was erected to worship a deity. The preserved right half of the stone shows a man in a long apron and a woman in a long dress. I'm going to get AFK for 5 minutes, so.
Sounds like a plan.
I saw that smashed window down the corridor from your office. Perhaps that's where you got out. Let's investigate the broken window near your office. Perhaps a thief left a key. Maybe it's a thief dropped something when he left. Let's investigate the broken window near your office. Should we report this to the police?
No, Marcus, this wasn't a simple break-in. There's more going on here.
Should we check how that devil got in?
Good idea.
I think we should figure out how he got away. Maybe check where he got in.
Yeah, sounds like a plan.
I saw that smashed window down the corridor from your office. Perhaps that's where he got out. Let's investigate the broken window near your office. Perhaps a thief left a key. Maybe the thief dropped something when he left. Let's investigate the broken window near your office. I'm sorry I wasn't much help last night.
Don't worry about it.
I came looking for you as soon as I woke up. I'm so glad you're all right.
I've survived a lot worse.
I saw that smashed window down the corridor from your office. Perhaps
Good idea.
I think we should figure out how he got away. Maybe check where he got in.
Yeah, sounds like a plan.
I saw that smashed window down the corridor from your office. Perhaps that is where he got out. Well, this wasn't what I expected when you asked me down from New York.
Thieves don't usually make appointments.
Not just the break. I thought you'd given up on fraternity after New York.
People died for that thing, Marcus. Can't just let it go.
Let's investigate the broken window near your office. Perhaps our thief left a clue. You took quite the thrashing, Indiana.
I'm alright. Why do you carry smelling salts?
Never know, I happen upon a damsel in distress. Maybe the thief dropped something when he left. Let's investigate the broken window near your office. How's your head?
Feels like a night out of the cabaret.
Should we check how that devil got in?
Good idea.
I think we should figure out how he got away. Maybe check where he got in.
Yeah, sounds like a plan.
Alrighty, that took a moment longer than necessary. What do we have here? So, 1275 before Christ, BCE? Is that a... Why is it BCE? You only know BC, before Christ, and AD Anno Domini. I'm going to assume it means BC, but what does BCE means? BC versus BCE. It's the same. Oh, it actually means before Common Era. So BCE is kind of the non-Christian style way of... Okay, I don't care. So, Raya and Ptah. The statue shows Raya, an official in the Temple of Ptah, the chief god of the city of Memphis. Raya holds a god shrine with a statue of Ptah in it. And then we have 1196 to 1070 BCE, Egypt, Tiari and Hathor. And Tiari was a high official who worked in a palace in the city of Memphis. There he had the statue of his kneeling figure in this made of himself. You know, having a statue made of yourself, my goodness. It's a bit arrogant, isn't it? In front of his kneeling figure is a shrine, a kind of sacred box, in which a symbol of the goddess Hathor is depicted. And then we have a portion of a statue, ancient Egyptian society, we're pyramid society. Oh, that's just normal info. It was one of stratification, a societal pyramid. Farmers, the largest class, were near the bottom, growing produce that would be owned by the priests and nobles. Great armies of workers toiled to build great wonders such as the Sphinx. Above them were the artists and artisans, then the viziers and the priests and priestesses. At the pinnacle was a pharaoh, king of the land, and a literal god after death. Yet his power was only the product of each layer beneath him. And to have a holistic view of history means looking beyond the great man to those that built them. Makes a lot of sense. I like it. And we have 1151 to 1143 BCE, Egypt. A Ramses statue without a head. From the inscription on the stand, we know that the statue represents Ramses VI, and probably once stood in the temple of the god Amun in Thebes. It reads, "Long live the perfect god, son of Amun, the protector, bull of Thebes, king of Upper and Lower Egypt, lord of both lands, Meriamun, a lord of truth." And 1295 BC, Maya and Merit. The couple statue was once painted and shows. I can actually read this while looking at the statue. I can't. The couple statue was once painted and showed. By the way, painting statues, painting ancient era. That's very important. Nowadays, when people look, for example, at Rome, they notice something very specific. It all looks dull, and that has a reason. The paint is gone. Back in the day, a lot of depictions on walls and statues and great monuments were all painted. They had color. There is a on Minos, where the Minoan labyrinth apparently is, the old ruins on Creta. There is this mural that was reconstructed and painted. And the archaeologist who did that, I think was a British guy, he got a lot of beef with his colleagues because technically archaeologists shouldn't create something, but he wanted to show how it most likely looked. But his archaeological friends were like, you don't know that for certainty, because he used, obviously, colors. They only found traces of some pigments, and yet he made a mural and colored it. And he actually put it where it was supposed to be. So there's kind of a difference between trying to reconstruct something and putting it in display somewhere else, but actually he took the wall where it was the mural and painted it there in color. A lot of people didn't like that. All right. Sitting in a chair with lions' feet. They seem to be waiting to be served with food and drink. The woman has wrapped her left arm tenderly around her husband. We know from the inscriptions this double image depicts Maya and Merit.
I saw that smashed window down the corridor from your office. Perhaps that is where he got at.
1550 to 1352 funerary cones. A vessel with a black rim. A cylindrical vessel. Canopic jars. That one is 23 to 1550 BC. So the archaeologists basically have no idea when it was. I mean, a time period of 800 years, what the heck. And 32 to 3050 BC, cylindrical. Why does it say here BC and here BCE? That's interesting. 1878 to 1840 BC, canopic jar. 1830. A tombstone. I would like a translation. 750 to 700 BC, canopic jars. Just to put this in perspective, this here 32 BC, 30 to 100 BC. And this here spans 2,500 years, 2,500 years of history, of a single culture that existed. Egypt has an insanely old and precious culture. Just think about the fact that the United States of America have existed for just 400 years. And Egypt literally has ancient treasures 2,500 years apart. And all of that still centuries before Christ. Even 1,000 years before Christ, Egypt already had precious treasures beyond reckoning. That's insane. Alright, and 1878 to 1840 BC. I kind of wish modern Egypt would kind of embrace more of what they were. Because some of the religious influences of the recent 200-300 years are kind of ruining a lot of the grandeur of what Egypt once was. I would love to see Egypt return to its roots more. I mean, Egypt was once a beacon of civilization, a splendid example of what humankind was capable of. And look at Egypt now. It's a bit like China, with its age of glory just undimmed, endured for thousands of years, and now in the course of 200-300 years it just kind of disappeared. Anyway. And we have St. Peter. And what is St. Peter from? Okay. So, mid-17th century, AD obviously. Wooden statue depicting St. Peter. You know how, as far as facial details go, I could maybe look the old Egyptians. Look at his forehead. I could make a joke about foreheads. Now I'm not going to do that. Also mid-17th century, wooden statue depicting St. Peter again. Well, this time they kind of hid his titanic forehead with hair. Good choice. So here he has a sword and a book. And here he holds keys and a scroll. We have 1391 to 1553 BC, head of Amenhotep the third, half of a twin capital, 150 BC, ruler from Saqqara. 521 to 486, Horwidja. 680 BC, Ram of Amun. 332 BC to 395 AD, mummy of a cat. Seriously? 700 to 300 BC, Egypt, head of a ruler. Just a ruler, nobody knows which ruler. And 664 to 525 BC, Egypt, Ibis, a statue of a sitting Ibis on a wooden pedestal. The god was a personification of thought. Patron, not that thought. Patron of scribes, legendary inventor of hieroglyphic writing. A thought was also the god of magic and healer in consequence. The statue comes from, you know, in modern times it would kind of be hilarious if you'd say something like, I'm a great fan of thought. Everyone is like, oh, OnlyFans, eh? No, then you say, no. 521 to 486 BC, dynasty statue. Olive lamb. Thought. Did you know that Egyptians had dildos? They even had condoms. Made of, I think it was sheep intestine. There is a lot of, you know, the Egyptians, they were so advanced in many ways, a bit like the Romans. Yeah, we're going to leave this unfinished. Dynasty statue, yes, yes. Oh my goodness. Canopic chest, 300. Okay, 400 years spent. I have no idea from when this is. I can also make up numbers. Yes, yes. Maybe that century, maybe another, the third, the fourth. Somewhere around that, give or take half a millennia. I mean, the time spent here is nigh the entire existence of the United States of America, where historians are like, oh, that maybe there or then, who knows? This is a long time, 350 years. 350 years ago, people didn't know what a plane was. They didn't even know what a car was.
I think we should.
Some even didn't know what the wheel was. I mean, yes, wheels are older, but come on. 400 years ago. 1600 something. People were in the middle of the Renaissance. They were coming out of the dark age of the medieval times of stupidity, and they were kind of embracing a little bit of the knowledge that the Romans had. So they were kind of rediscovering 2,000-year-old knowledge. Yeah. 9th to 10th century Egypt tomb stele acquired in Gennady Taffa. 7th to 6th century BC Egypt, Phaon's baboon. The baboon was usually associated with Thoth, one of the moon gods. This animal has a hole in the crown that once held a lunar disk sitting on top of a crescent moon, an attribute of Thoth. For the 2600-year-old artwork, it is in remarkable condition. And though the animal is small in size, I see something that is not small. Its posture and expression command authority. Yeah, that's an interesting third hand. It's probably just the tail, right? 2400 BC. Egyptian false door. A false door built into the west wall of the tomb chapel was the focal point of the cult of the deceased in ancient Egypt. This was the interface between the world of the living and the world of the dead, where visitors came to say prayers and deposited offerings for the spirit of the deceased, whose soul could pass through the door. 64 to 30 BC, a statue of Osiris. You know, you can always, if you play the Age of Mythology, you're going to quickly notice this. You know, the destructive lightning strike era. According to Egyptian religious beliefs, Osiris, as god of the underworld, had suffered death and resurrection. Thus, he was believed to control the regenerative forces of the Nile River. You know, this is also something. One moment. I would like to talk to you about. If we look at the modern human, for example, in the United States or in Asia or in Europe, we see modern cultures, for example, taking rivers and straightening them out, completely disregarding the fact that there is a reason why they're curved, and then acting surprised when there are floods and people die, because humans lost respect in front of nature, towards nature, and ignored natural phenomena. The Egyptians knew to respect the Nile. They knew its destruction, but they also realized that the flooding of the Nile gave them regenerative forces to have food. The Egyptians, instead of trying to manipulate nature, embraced nature. They decided that they can use the yearly floodings of the Nile to grow food, to increase their population numbers, to sustain them. They accepted nature and they worked with nature. That is a wisdom that some nations these days could use. Interestingly enough, for example, in Europe, in the recent decade or two, a lot of cities have started to de-straighten the rivers, so to give them back their natural curve, sometimes against the will of many, because some people obviously are going to lose property because they built at the river that was straightened, and then in big floods, climate change, cities realized, oh, that's bad. because a natural river delta gives space for the water to go away. You know, to find a way without having to flood everything everywhere. And ultimately, a little bit more respect towards nature is probably something good. In this conventional representation, Osiris wears the crown of Upper Egypt, flanked by two plumes and a ceremonial beard. In his arms, crossed over his chest, he grasps the crook, staff with curved end and flail. Manual threshing device. One moment.
Thieves don't usually make appointments.
Alrighty. Statue of Sekhmet. Ancient Egyptian glazed Phaeon sculpture of the goddess Sekhmet. She's depicted here with the head of a lioness and the body of a woman, and she was known as goddess of war and the protector of the throne. Ancient Egypt, gods in Creo. Offering table up there. 7 cavities have been made at the top, each intended to hold a sacred oil. From right to left, they are celebratory salve, laudation oil, balm, neck hennem oil, churwet oil, top-grade cedar oil, and top-grade Libyan oil. Talking about those here. Animal worship is frequent in many ancient religions, but none take it as seriously as did the ancient Egyptians. Many of their gods are partially or entirely animalistic, such as the monkey Barbie or the cat-headed warrior goddess Bastet. Mummification of animals was a common act of worship, including of beloved pets, such as dogs and cats, and of birds, such as falcons and ibis. Many of these were votive offerings, gifts given to the gods. Others were food to be eaten in the afterlife. This link between the commonplace and the eternal has echoes even in Abrahamic religions, from the relic quarries taken from saints to common items such as the Holy Grail, given divine significance by association. You know, the Christians, the Abrahamic religions, were always good at taking over something. For example, a lot of... my goodness, the reflection in the mirror. Damn, the glass. A lot of Christian celebrations these days were taken from ancient cultures. Also, for example, from Germanic ancient cultures. They were just adapted to fit the needs of a new religion. Same with, for example, Islam. That's based on the Old Testament, also taking massive liberties and, well, getting inspired of that which came before.
I'm alright. Why do you carry smelling salts?
It might happen upon a damsel in distress.
In Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, you play as Indiana Jones, the world's greatest archaeologist and adventurer, as he attempts to unravel the greatest secret in history. To accomplish this, there are a wide variety of skills and tools available at your disposal. Okay, I don't need this, I think. Blah, 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 blah. Look at it, I can read this. I can fucking read this. You know, usually in games, whenever there's wallpapers on the wall, there are not enough textures to be able to read anything properly. I mean, again, let me quickly check. Give me 1 second. I'm going to open Afterburner. Because the amount of VRAM that is probably used, or at least allocated, is probably insane. So right now, my graphics card is... allocating 22.6 gigabits of VRAM, That's insane. But ultimately, this is what the game kind of wants. I mean, to be run comfortably.
Sorry for whoever has to clean up this mess before Monday.
You remember that time the doctoral student snuck pigs into Dawson's office?
Blackshirt's article. Mussolini's blackshirts rule Rome with iron fist. All volunteer militia enforce Mussolini's doctrine of fascism on streets, but some call them thugs bullying ordinary citizens. The MVSN, commonly known as the Blackshirts, is not an uncommon sight on the streets of Rome, where they parade around in all black attire, spreading the ideals of the fascist government. Many citizens view them as a uniting force, while others are hesitant to voice their true opinions of the Camicie Nere. Huh?
Thugs harassing innocent people.
Interesting mind game. Ask yourself, if you would now find yourself in this time, could you end the Second World War? Do you have a piece of information? Could you actually convince people to believe you that you're from the future? Obviously, you'd get naked to the past. You'd have no item to prove that you're from the future. Could you actually stop, prevent, lessen the effects of World War II? Obviously, that would be madness because you change the future. You'd erase the future where you come from, but never mind that one. But do you think you could actively influence the Second World War alone with knowledge you have? It's not as easy as you might think. I mean, I could probably help certain people who try to assassinate, for example, Hitler, by giving them knowledge about the time, the time frame, the location. But from the back of my head, that still wouldn't be easy. Just saying. Let's hit this! I have a broom now. Nobody can stop us. Go out of my way, man! Oh, we can't hit him. Oh, I actually can't hit him. Seriously? That's a shame. "'Twas the night before Halloween, and all through the night not a ghost was stirring, not even a fright. The spiders were crawling, and there was a chill in the air. The Marshall College Halloween's party is on the 29th, be there." 6 p.m. till late. You know, there is a... From Christopher Tolkien, Professor Tolkien, sorry. There's a picture of invitation card to... I think it was a coming of age of his son, where he said, horses at midnight, carriage at 3 or something like that. That's mildly hilarious. I was there this summer, actually. Greece, Athens, and Crete and all. What do we have here? Oh, it's actually, you know, this is from... This is actually great, because apparently it's a physical item, the map, which actually gets lit up if you go into the light. Oh my goodness. You know, this is a level of detail and quality I did not expect from such a game. Usually these game adaptations are hilariously bad. I mean, right now, there you can see the limits of ray tracing. You see that, right? Obviously, that's not realistic. This wouldn't happen in real life. These shades there. But, my goodness, this game visually is insanely well done. I've never had a game before that realistic. Again, my graphics card is utilizing almost 23 gigabits of VRAM, so it's a bit insane. But still, Darn.
Just what I needed.
Alright, the lungs, the atrium, the cordis, the aorus canal, the gutter, the maxilla, oculus, ribcage, calvaria, spina, iris, nervus opticus, the dentes, and palatum. You know, interestingly enough, in my school where I went, we had a choice to learn Spanish or French or Latin. I actually chose Latin. Obviously, English was mandatory, but Latin was a choice. And later on, either you chose a tertiary second language, kind of, or you went into the age of, I don't know, math, physics, biology, or something. All right. Oh, we know that guy.
Oh, I have a splitting headache after burning the midnight oil last night.
I told you didn't have to stay.
Nonsense. I wouldn't abandon a friend in need.
You know, this actually looks like a professor still goes on archaeological sites and not one of those who always dwell in a building looking over ancient artifacts other people have brought in. I mean, nowadays, obviously, the world has gotten quite small. The age of exploration has quite ended. Everything's kind of ordered now. It's kind of it's a bit sad. I would love the great age of exploration, even though there was a lot of exploitation also, which I don't like, because a lot of cultures couldn't defend themselves were exploited. You know, when the Europeans came with their cannons and with their I suppose outside. With their cannons and with their muskets, their knowledge of technology, and the primitives, they didn't have a chance. You can't do anything if you have a sword or bow and your enemy has 1,000 muskets and 100 cannons. What are you going to do? Stare them to death? So obviously the European powers who had superior technology and weapons, they just took whatever they wanted. And that's it. Rule number 1, never leave home without the whip. Prince Jimmy and his orchestra rhythm and blues series, a superior recording, speed 78 rounds per minute, not licensed for radio broadcast. Gramegdec Manufacturing Company, made and patented in the US. Actually, patent back in the day was abbreviated with PET D. That looks terrible. A word. Alright. Established 1926, huh? What? Don't judge me. Anyway, I like interacting with things. You know, if a game has a great gate that I can close and open, there's always a big reason to play the game. Can hardly read that, but it says Abraham Lincoln, obviously. I mean, this is Abraham Lincoln. Can we? Abraham Lincoln! Now we can read it. President, 1861 to 1865. Just 4 years. Ay, ay, ay. An age where presidents were not clowns, where they were respectable figures. Anyway, what is that? Presented to Marshall College in outstanding recognition of furthering our knowledge of the ancient past, 1925. Marshall College. Graduate School of Archaeology, to all whom these letters shall come, greetings. The trustees of the college, on the recommendation of the faculty and by virtue of the authority in them vested by the state of Connecticut, have conferred on Ernest Haynes the degree of archaeology, Ph.D., with all the rights, privileges, and honors thereto appertaining, given at Marshall College in the state of Connecticut on the 20th day of June in the year of 1932. Good day. And who's that guy? Oh, that's Thomas Jefferson. That's actually, oh, I didn't see him on a side profile. Interesting.
They get out. The front doors were locked. A broken window. Maybe he got out the same way he came in.
Marcus, help me out here.
Coming, Indiana. Oh, don't mention it.
A mysterious pendant. It must have been left behind by the giant who broke into the college.
Private office and figure this out.
Good idea. Somebody sure went to a lot of trouble to steal a cat mummy.
Beautiful piece. You found it in Seymour, didn't you?
Yeah, 6 weeks ago. There's something about that dig.
Shouldn't these two call the dean, or is that a dean? Or maybe security, police or something? I mean, maybe they're still bad boys here. Maybe this is dangerous. Isn't that a bit wise?
That looks Catholic to you, doesn't it?
It's the sigil of the Vatican Secret Archive, if I'm not mistaken.
This isn't just about a cat mummy, Marcus.
What are you going to do, Indiana?
I'll need my classes covered, of course.
Indiana,
Dawson seems the likely choice. Kittredge.
look. Someone's left you a gift. How long has that been in there?
I haven't opened this suitcase for a year. Not since Cairo.
trenches. There's nothing to say, Marcus.
She rang me. Did I tell you that? 2 months back, when you left the SeaWorld.
This will be a nice gift. It wouldn't have made a difference. She had her mind made up.
Foolhardy escapade is not going to make matters better.
I'm not so sure about that.
Warriors of the Clouds, my journey through the ruins of the Chayapoin culture. Maria Smirnova.
I know that look, Indiana. Dog the bone.
Temple map. Temple of the Forbidden Isle. Look not into the eyes of Mara. You shall gain admission to the temple of your gracious secret desire. Beware the false pathways that lead to death. Beware the deadly booby traps that lurk within. That's very direct.
Though I must admit I am intrigued. Why would the Vatican want your cat money?
Exactly. And there's only one way to find out.
Come now, Indiana, you can't travel to Italy. The college would never sanction leave for this. Not in the middle of midterms. I mean,
Marcus, what's done is done. Maybe I shouldn't have gone to the SeaWorld expedition, but it was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity.
and when you got back, she wasn't there.
I gotta go.
Can't just run away from your problems, Indiana.
That's right. Oh, next plane to Rome. Stop. Need help. Stop. Leave me in Vatican. Stop.
My friend, stop. Vatican not safe. Stop. We'll wait for you at village steps. Stop. Subtlety is a virtue. Stop. Antonio.
side of this fortress.
Accidenti, sarà pesante. Serve un po'. Perché non mi sono portato la borraccia? E tu chi sei? Che cosa ci fai qui?
I'm just a tourist.
Bel colpo, eh? Dritto in faccia!
Steps. Should be on the other side of this fortress.